which have been designated by the SEC as not securities, Bitcoin and Ether. Hey guys, this video builds on the ongoing saga between the SEC and Ripple. Will Gary Gensler ultimately be the one to cause that house of cards to topple over 2 years before it even started? My expert sleuthing has uncovered the answer to the question Jeremy Hogan posed to Gary Gensler on Twitter. Is Ether a security, yes or no? Find out here. The answer is not what you might think it to be. I dig a little deeper and find out what Gary Gensler thinks of Clarity back in 2018. Is it the same as it is now? And can Gary actually predict the future of XRP 2 to 3 years in advance? We'll find out. So what we're looking at here is a document titled Cryptocurrencies, Oversight of New Assets in the Digital Age. This includes Gary Gensler's testimony to the Committee on Agriculture, the House of Representatives, Congress. July 2018. Includes a bunch of testimony from several people, but the one we're interested in is the Honourable Gary Gensler. There may be a gap Congress considers filling related to cryptocurrency not subject to securities laws such as Bitcoin, herein called crypto cash commodities. While the CFTC has general anti-fraud and anti-manipulation authorities with regard to spot transactions in crypto cash commodities such as Bitcoin or Ether. Now, the rest of that paragraph isn't really important, but he's basically saying Ether and Bitcoin are crypto cash commodities. And recall in this paragraph right before, cryptocurrencies not subject to security laws such as Bitcoin, herein called crypto cash commodities. So he's saying that Bitcoin and Ether are not subject to securities law. So jump down to document page 44. Scroll all the way down to this paragraph here. Currently, nearly 70% of crypto markets' $250 billion total market cap, remember this is 2018, is represented by the 5 cryptocurrencies which have either been designated by the SEC as not securities, and in brackets Bitcoin and Ether, or were forks off of Bitcoin or Ether, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic. So he's actually provided a little footnote here, footnote 74 for this as a source designated by the SEC as not securities. And what is that source? Well, it's got 2 here, the Jay Clayton speech and William Hinman, SEC, June 14, 2018, and a link to his speech right there. So this isn't just some random average Joe reading the news and thinking, hey, this is just William Hinman's personal opinion. This is an expert in the field. He's got years and years of experience. He's teaching a course on blockchain technology at MIT, and he firmly believes the SEC has determined that Bitcoin and Ether are not securities. And remember who the audience of this testimony is. It's the House of Representatives, or specifically the Committee on Agriculture. But he's telling them, based on William Hinman's speech, Ether and Bitcoin are not securities. I'm sure Jeremy Hogan's writing down all sorts of notes by now, but wait, there's more. That testimony was from July 2018. Let's fast forward a little bit. Not sure the exact time frame, but this is in the second half of 2018. Gary Gensler's MIT course on blockchain technology. Let's hear what he actually tells the students.
We'll talk a lot about initial coin offerings and are they securities, are they not? But I would note, in terms of market value, probably 3/4 of this space has already been determined by the Securities and Exchange Commission not to be a security. Bitcoin's 54%. Ether's about, 15 points or something like that. So you're all of a sudden up to about 70 points, and then there's a bunch of other things that add up. So about 3/4 of the market value right now is what one might call a cash or a commodity, but not a security in this world. And that's just relevant for some of the debates that go on.
Save room on your notepad, Jeremy Hogan. There's more, but wait. If you liked what you've seen so far, be sure to hit that like button. So MIT has made this course publicly available. It's all on YouTube. It's over 30 hours of video. I've personally watched about 7 to 8 hours of Gary Gensler talking, so, I'm kind of sick of seeing his links to all the videos down below, all the documents, everything. This next bit, I'm going to pretend to ask Gary some questions, but I'll be playing videos from 2018. What did you teach your students on ETH regarding the Howey test?
You want to fail the Howey test, by the way. Like if you are a venture capitalist and don't want to be regulated, you want to fail this test. But to pass the Howey test, Ethereum in 2014 exchanged Bitcoin for ETH. It was an investment in a common enterprise at that point in time, a 20 or 21-year-old Vitalik Buterin running a Ethereum foundation out of Switzerland. But it was one group. An expectation of profits. They had no functioning network. It was just an idea in a white paper, a really good idea, and good faith actors. And it was reliant on whether Vitalik and his, team of coders were going to stand this project up. To me, I don't even think there's much doubt what this was in 2014 when they raised the $18 million.
Interesting. Tell me more, Gary.
When Vitalik Buterin even did Ethereum, you got an email. It was not called a simple agreement for future token. Is that what SAFT is? But it was a simple email for a future token. I mean, it was, in essence, an economic arrangement where you exchanged Bitcoin for an email, and that email, some 12 months later, you would get a private key when the Genesis block happened. And most of these still had to deal with that economic arrangement.
It's very interesting, Gary. Can you help me put 2 and 2 together?
The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission in the Hinman speech sort of said you could be sufficiently decentralized as Ethereum. They in essence had some regulatory forbearance. And there's a key sentence in that speech as to, I think the words were, regardless of what Ethereum might have been in 2014. Like Hinman kind of pushed that to the side, said, I'm not going to address that question implicitly.
Any last words, Gary?
The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission might exert its jurisdiction. Doesn't always.
Okay, enough of the question style. Let's move on from ETH and talk about Bitcoin.
So remember the 3 things about the role of money, but it's a social construct. And Bitcoin does, in some ways, have all 3 of these. It's just not broadly acceptable. It's rarely used as a unit of account, but it is sometimes used as a unit account in some initial coin offerings. It's not used generally as a medium of exchange, but some people are paid in Bitcoin. Some software developers are actually paid in Bitcoin. And at $60 billion, it might be volatile. It has a store of value. So I'm not trying to take maximalist or minimalist, but I'm probably between Tom and James, because it does have all of those qualities in some extent.
Let's fast forward to 2021, Gary, and just note the subtle or not so subtle differences between all 3 aspects.
Economists have studied this for a long time. Store of value, unit of account, medium of exchange. Why do I raise that? Because my opinion is no single crypto asset, though, broadly fulfills all of the functions of money. Bitcoin has some of it, but not broadly fulfilling all 3. Primarily, crypto assets provide a digital, scarce vehicle for speculative investment. Thus, in a sense, one can say they are highly speculative stores of value. Buy Bitcoin, it goes up. Maybe I have something better for my future and my retirement.
Is there a reasonable expectation of profits? Most people think of profits coming from dividends or interest on your bond. The SEC has said, and there's relevant court cases that say, profits could be just the expectation of the appreciation of the asset. So I buy a token today for 6 Ether, and tomorrow I think it might be worth 10 ETH. That's a reasonable expectation of profits.
but it's not really being used as a unit of account. And we also haven't seen that crypto has been used much as a medium of exchange, except for one large exception. To the extent that it is being used as a medium of exchange, it's usually often to skirt our laws with respect to anti-money laundering, sanctions, tax collection on the dark web, and yes, also it's enabled extortion via ransomware, as we had seen recently in Colonial Pipeline and elsewhere.
Okay, moving on, let's talk about clarity. Ripple in their defense are saying there is not enough clarity and therefore they should be let off the hook. However, the SEC is arguing the opposite and saying there is enough. What does 2018 Gary think?
I think regulators and courts will bring greater clarity to the security definition. At some point in time, things like XRP will decide it. It might be decided it's not a security, but I think that's going to roll out over the next 18 to 36 months. It's not like the next 3 weeks or 6 weeks, but I think that even the Securities and Exchange Commission will speak more definitively than Bill Hinman's speech he gave in, June?
I think it's kind of just like reasonably clear. I would say very clear.
2021 Gary's fun, but he's got nothing on 2018 Gary.
To say happy Thanksgiving. I know it's a Bitcoin turkey, blockchain turkey.
Back to his testimony to Congress. I've done a word search on clarity, 29 cases throughout the whole document. It's from the other witnesses as well. It's not just Gary Gensler, but we'll just focus on his ones. Page 31, clear rules of the road also would allow firms, both incumbents and startups, to more fully explore investing in blockchain technology and crypto assets. We won't go over everything he's been saying in here because it's a lot and it's a lot to take in. So we'll just breeze through them. Page 43. The SEC's Director of Division of Corporate Finance, William Hinman, sought to give additional directions in a speech on June 14, 2018. Of course, he's mentioning that infamous speech, but I'm just calling it out here as he sought to give additional direction using this speech, not just his personal opinion, at least from the point of view of Gary Gensler. To bring greater clarity to these markets, the SEC must also determine how best to bring into compliance the over 1,000 ICOs and numerous crypto exchanges still in operation in the US. Again, the crypto markets have gotten some clarity, with the SEC stating that the two largest coins, Bitcoin and Ether, are not currently securities. He then goes on to say there are strong cases to be made, though, that a number of other large market cap tokens are non-compliant securities. If large market cap tokens such as XRP, calling out Ripple here, or EOS are concluded to be non-compliant securities, there are strong arguments that they'll pass the Howey test, and our exchange offering trading in these tokens will need to comply with SEC regulatory requirements or cease offering these products. The XRP thing is nothing new, but it's re-emphasizing, Gary Gensler is presenting all this based on William Hinman's speech that the SEC are now saying is his personal opinion. Moving on to his conclusion, just to re-emphasize, clear rules of the road will also allow firms, both incumbents and startups, to have more fully explore investing in crypto assets and blockchain technology. Bringing clarity and compliance will have its challenges. There are numerous crypto exchanges and thousands of ICO launch tokens in significant non-compliance. Congress and this committee will have a role to play, monitoring development, overseeing compliance, and where appropriate, updating laws. It also will be critical that sufficient resources provided by the CFTC, SEC, and other agencies to adequately oversee crypto markets, especially as these markets have continued to grow. And that's the end of Gensler's section. Attorney Jeremy Hogan, I'll give you the last word on clarity.
The SEC knows that there is no way they can make a bright line rule. It's not possible. It's not even legally possible, really, because the second job, the second hat, so to speak, that the SEC wears is to enforce the laws on security. Those laws were passed by Congress a long time ago, and the SEC has no discretion but to enforce them.
Next, can Gary predict the future?
So Hugo was asked about the token XRP and whether I think it's a non-compliant security. I've spoken publicly. Yes, I do think it's a non-compliant security. But this will not be resolved just by the Securities and Exchange Commission. It will be resolved by some courts, whether it's appellate courts or the Supreme Court.
Wait, say that again, Gary.
But this will not be resolved just by the Securities and Exchange Commission. It will be resolved by some courts, whether it's appellate courts or the Supreme Court. There might be regulatory forbearance, and maybe it'll be determined not to be, but I've expressed my thoughts. I don't own any of this stuff. I don't have any particular conflict. I'm just speaking as I believe.
So while all this has been said in 2018, prior to Gary Gensler joining the SEC, it does contradict a lot of the things they've been saying. Is he going to be the one to actually help Ripple in the end? We'll have to wait and see. Who knows, maybe they'll even take some of his own advice.
I went back and found a quote from Benjamin Franklin that I like. And to me, it's about a concept that I hope you all live by, is paying it forward.